This episode's bad. This is a bad one.
It's
hey,
bad.
audience,
It's going over.
go ahead and skip this. Hey, episode 27. Go ahead and skip this one. It's not good.
Go ahead and skip this one. We're putting this at the end, though, so that you have to get to this point before you know definitively you can skip
No,
it.
I'll just throw this clip at the very beginning. This is the show opener. This is how the show opens. Hey, guys, go ahead and skip this one. We talk for 52 minutes about politics, and it sucks. And then we talk about Bachelor, and it's good, but then we talk about ourselves, and it sucks. So basically, just skip to 52 minutes, and then when we get done with Reality Check, turn it off and throw your phone into the sun. Skip this episode. It isn't good. All right.
All right.
See you bye forever.
See you bye forever. Hello and welcome to Get Better, a show about two longtime friends trying their best, growing up, and hopefully getting better. I'm Zach Johnson.
And I'm Sam Cherry.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, Zach. Now, Zach, I know from texting each other that you are going to want to talk about the Democratic debates. Our listeners would know from the politics episode that we are both liberals. They would know, except for God made that episode disappear. Unlike the episodes that I usually destroy, this one God made disappear. He heard it, and he decided with his divine justice that it was too perfect for this world, and he did make it disappear along with a lot of episodes.
It was too hot for radio.
It was, and there were a lot of other episodes that in fact just got disappeared. And I kind of these most recent ones, I'll be talking about something and have to remember which ones God did make disappear. But you know, who am I to question him? So anyway, listeners would know that we're both liberals, and so we watched the Democratic debate. And I do want to, maybe spend an hour dunking on Mike Bloomberg. I do want to do that, but I want to set out some ground rules first before we do this.
Okay.
Because, of course, this is a happy show for me.
Yes, where happy things happen.
Oh, and see, happy show, my wife just brought me a burger. Hey, thanks, Sophie.
Oh, nice.
This is a happy show.
I don't have a wife or a burger. This is the worst.
So I want to set out some ground rules. Number one, I don't want to talk about the president. That's always our ground rule, but I feel like for this discussion in particular, maybe I don't want to talk about it. Number two, I don't want to talk about ghosts. Also always our ground rule because they are real and they are scary. I don't really see that coming up, but just want to remind you, I do not want to talk about ghosts because I do think they're real and spooky. And number three, if we could mostly keep this to dunking on Mike Bloomberg, that would be cool for me, because part of me worries that our listeners, who are 27 episodes in at this point, they've joined our cult, they've given us all their money, they're ready to sign a blood oath.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You will be succumb to the mud.
Yes.
You will be a part of our muddy alliance. So thank you so much for. Actually, no, you're welcome.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
No, thank you.
Exactly. No, thank you. Absolutely not. You are welcome that we have saved you.
Now that part of that is in the episodes that God did disappear, where we did talk about how our listeners were going to become mud and become a part of us, and we would become a giant mud obelisk that would kill all the ants, with Sophie piloting us like some sort of Gundam. That God did find too perfect, and he did disappear it. But
now that one I think was actually deleted by, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers here or ruffle any antennae here, but I think that one was deleted by Big Ant.
You know what? That's a good point. I don't know that God disappeared that
exactly
one.
because since the ants are not God, he did not delete it, so the ants did, and I have a theory on that. It's the ants have formed a super colony all throughout California. And what's in California? Silicon Valley.
Maybe. Yes. Okay.
And so they found it on our computers through their NSA, and the A in NSA stands for ants. And they found our files and deleted them because they decided that they did not want our hot takes on their horrible alliance to get out there. And honestly, by saying this, if this one goes out, then we're definitely going to get tracked down.
Let me give you a theory on this. Okay. As we all know, ants build tunnels. Also, as we all know, the internet is a series of tubes. Perhaps the ants have tunneled into the series of tubes that is the internet, And they are, I agree, a part of the network of secret ants, the NSA. Mm-hmm. And that is how they have stolen our episode. But those are the ground rules. Don't want to talk about the president. Don't want to talk about Ghost. Mostly want to dunk on Mike Bloomberg. But, I'm up for anything. I'm afraid that our listeners at this point, they have become mud. They've given us all their money. They've signed a blood oath to any opinion we have is now their opinion. And a part of me worries that some of them think maybe the good billionaire should be president. Now, I don't want to tell you who to vote for. I've got my preferences. Zach's got his. And you know what? I don't want to tell you who to vote for because that would be kind of a weird show.
Yeah.
But I do want to tell you not to vote for Mike Bloomberg. I do want to be really clear about that one. Don't vote for that guy. So, if we could just, that's it. That's all. Anyway, if you want to talk about the debate, what were your opinions? I'm going to eat this burger now.
Okay, so I want to do a little bit of backtracking, and while Sam is eating this burger, I feel like I will just have opportune time to talk about what I really want to talk about with Mike Bloomberg, which is something that happened the day of Sam and I's last recording, and I didn't have enough information on it to have a fully formed opinion because I thought it was just something weird that was going on, and then I found out it was something amazing that was going on. So, for those of you that are living in February of 2020, a fairly quiet month in comparison to the hellscape that was January of 2020, you will find that there's been a lot of slow news cycles. But in some of these slow news cycles, amazing things happen. And it was last Tuesday that a lot of very prominent meme accounts on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, they all started posting a very similar format of a Mike Bloomberg direct message conversation onto Instagram. And in these posts, it was Mike Bloomberg, a fictitious version of him seeking them out to make him seem cool on the internet. And throughout the course of most of these, it just seemed like the meme accounts themselves were making him the joke, where they would be talking about, like Mike Bloomberg would be saying something like, could you try and make me cool? And then they would post a picture of a meme of him where he was definitely not cool, and they would kind of make fun of him. Right. So this happened. It kind of was a blip on the radar. And there's been a lot of great articles about it. You can just, search Mike Bloomberg meme 2020. And I say articles because this was not just a flash in the pan, just one day thing.
Phase 2.
Through some extensive research, I found that Mike Bloomberg, the billionaire presidential candidate.
Yeah, if you don't know who Mike Bloomberg is, we'll get to it. But never mind. I'm sorry. They understand what's happening. Yeah.
He started an initiative called Meme 2020, where he sought out to find prominent meme makers and have them make memes of him. Cool. Make him into a format in order to make him go viral, to seem that he is a bit more relatable.
Right.
And this is, I was saying this to Sam because the thing about Mike Bloomberg is there are a lot of people that I really feel like know him only by name. They know that Bloomberg was a company, or that he was the mayor of New York. If you know a little bit more about him, you know that he has, he's one of America's billionaires. He's done some degree of philanthropy. He has some degree of influence in political spheres just through donations because he has so much money.
He has so much money. He has so much money. $30 billion, so much money.
Yes. And a lot of people wouldn't know who he is. So in an effort to try and make himself seem, one, relatable, and two, just getting his name out there, he hired a bunch of meme makers to essentially get together and kind of make fun of him.
But importantly, make fun of him for being not hip with the kids. Instead of being racist old Skeletor, the thing everyone actually makes fun of him for.
Yeah, exactly. So I have been kind of racking my head around this for a while, thinking it is either The reason that I liked this so much when it first came out was because I kind of considered this to be almost like it filled me with the same feeling that MoviePass filled me with, which was this kind of great train robbery. That everyone is getting away with something and we were stealing someone's money, and then there was nothing, and the people that were just kind of giving it to us. We were given the keys to the vault, and they were like, now keep this safe, don't you? And then we were like, yeah, sure, we'll do that. And then we just stole all their money.
It's like the TV show Win Ben Stein's Money, but it's Waste Mike Bloomberg's Money, which I would watch and participate in wholeheartedly.
Yes.
I'd love to waste all his money.
Yes. So I'm thinking through, because the memes don't, one, it is very clear from them on the captions themselves that he's paying for them. Obviously. That he got these paid for. They're all falling within the similar format, and each of them is kind of like calling him out for being against the times. Not with it. And I can't decide if the people making the memes were just taking a quick check and being irresponsible, or they very brilliantly came together and were like, thanks for the money. You're like a racist, bigot, terrible person. We're going to make fun of you in front of everyone, and we're going to destroy your chances.
You're saying your second theory is that he actually wanted to look cool in the meme. And then they were like, what if we just posted a bunch of memes dunking on Mike Bloomberg?
Yes.
That's theory number 2.
Yeah. So what I think happened was Mike Bloomberg, who has this Smaug the Dragon's amount of money, was just doling it out to the dumbest things. And I like to imagine that he saw the meme template of Bernie Sanders saying, I'm once again asking for your financial support, but it's like financial support is covered out and it's filled in with something else. I imagine that he saw some of the memes of Donald Trump making him out to be like either kind of a hero or a troll figure that is like speaking the minds of the people, and just giant air quotes on that. And I like to imagine that Bloomberg saw these and said, I want some memes, and then grabbed his assistant and said, go get me some memes, and then gave him a crisp check for $10,000 and then just sent that person away. And that person was then tasked with getting a bunch of meme accounts to dunk on Mike Bloomberg. So my theories are either A, those accounts are reprehensible and they were trying to humanize someone that is generally been
fundamentally unhuman.
Unhuman. And I guess we can kind of take a quick sidebar and get into, I will finish this statement. Sure. I either think that the people that the accounts, which is like some pretty prominent accounts like Tank Sinatra, as well as High Five Expert, Sunny Side Up, just like these accounts that have millions and millions and millions of followers. I think that either they were aware they were making fun of him, or they were just out for kind of like a quick check. Of those two, I would like to hope that it is the one where they collectively joined together and were like, okay, let's steal this guy's money and then convince him that this is a good idea.
Oh, they were like, no. That your meme needs to be Mike Bloomberg sucks. And I know what you're thinking is that's the opposite of what I want. But actually, you do suck. And so maybe we'll just divert what they think why you suck. When they hear their friends on the podcast go, don't vote for Mike Bloomberg, which is explicitly what we're talking about. They're going to hear, oh, they don't want me to vote for Mike Bloomberg because he's like a lame old fogey. But it's like, no. And that's what they're trying to divert. Like, why don't people like Mike Bloomberg? I don't know. Memes told me it's because he doesn't know what Snapchat is. That is the ploy. That is the play.
Yeah. It's
not stop and frisk, which is actually why people don't like him.
Yeah, and and I think I like the people that have made these accounts, I feel like are internet savvy enough to know, and they made it as transparent as possible, I think they knew that there would be a pretty large backlash. And like, the day after I found that out, I went through some of the comments of just those things, and there are thousands and thousands of comments, and all of them are just like, this ain't it, man, or like, this is having the opposite effect, and like, I don't want to vote for this guy, da 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 da. And I have a sense that like in them like taking that money and then promoting him, they either stupidly like polarize their own fan base, or two, they like, because a good bit of them lost followers because they had gone political,
which is the wrong opinion. The correct opinion is get your money.
Exactly.
If Michael Bloomberg wants to give us money, here's what I'm going to tell you. I don't want you to vote for Michael Bloomberg, but if he gives us money, we will dog him, read the ad, and then go back to dogging him. Like I will read a Michael Bloomberg ad for sure, like no doubt. Get your money.
Yeah.
Don't vote for him, but get your money.
Yes. So I just have this. I have this thought that they knew that that was exactly what was going to happen, and they, one, got money, and two, accomplished their goal of like giving yet another reason to not vote for Mike Bloomberg, to like make him one seem unelectable and like out of touch. And because I think that, and like in doing that, you make him seem I don't know, you don't get into the more specific political things, right, which can get a little bit more divisive. Like none of them referenced some of the more reprehensible activities or reprehensible actions that he has done, which I think, now that I'm done talking about the Instagram thing, which is the funniest thing to do to try and get votes. Honestly, I did not believe it for the longest time. Like I had not, when I was seeing that it was like paid for by him, I was like, oh, this is really funny. All these guys got together, created this like Avengers of meme accounts just to kind of dunk on this like big idiot. And then to find out that he actually paid for them under a thing called Meme 2020. Yeah. It just kind of really feels like the spoiled kid in a lunchroom just wanting to buy friends and doing it in any way possible. But like, it's interesting because he is trying to do that to get to the youth where he is. Yeah. And but to the older generation, he's doing like TV ads and things, which is like, I honestly, like, I'm racking my head around it because I cannot decide if it is brilliant or so dumb. Because the next day on Twitter, that was pretty much everything anyone could talk about, was just like they opened the floodgates where people were talking about all the terrible things he has done, and they were talking about it very openly, and they were kind of using that same joke format to just talk about how bad he was.
Well, that's the thing, is because things have changed. It is no longer the days of all press is good press, right? Like, we live in a world where, like, you know what people say, it's like, hey, at least they're talking about you. That is no longer the world we live in. Now it's like, oh God, I hope Twitter isn't talking about me. Like, whatever. Mm-hmm. I just hope Twitter isn't talking about me, because they were probably very, very angry and are going to yell at me all of the time. So like, I think that is part of the strategy, is like, let's do something crazy and it'll make headlines. And it's like, yeah, but it'll make headlines about how everyone hates you so much. And anyone who didn't know who you were now knows you as the guy everyone hates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, the thing is, if it was pre-planned by those accounts, then it just like teed up the internet. Cause like people went from, who is this guy? Like, the only thing I know about this guy is that like one of my favorite meme accounts just went political for no reason. And then like in investigating what was going on, they're like, oh, everybody hates this guy. Right. This guy has done like some bad stuff. And then like, if that was the move, if it was to tee up the rest of the internet to like destroy this person, then it truly is like the Great Train Robbery, where they got paid to make fun of him, and then they got away with it.
Yeah,
because they technically they did what they were supposed to do, but they did it in such a way where they made him out to not be a hero. They made him out to be this like person that is like, out of touch, and then the rest of the internet just like went off on him, which is like, I cannot yet decide if it was either brilliant or selfish, but I really feel like that kind of doesn't matter, because whatever the intention was, what happened was the latter. What happened was them having the internet, go out against him, which got a lot of, Mike Bloomberg's negative press out in the air. And then that happened just right before the debate. So I feel like a lot of people that didn't know who he was had a pretty good idea of his past actions. And then those who watched the debate, they were kind of on the same page as, Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren or Amy Klobuchar, the people that were calling him out for stuff. We were all kind of on the same page about who he was.
They were caught up about all of the racism and sexual harassment. Also, if you don't know who Mike Bloomberg is, real rich guy. He was mayor of New York, whatever.
I think it is important too, because I've kept saying some of his reprehensible actions. Right. So I think it is now time to get into some of those.
So this is a comedy show, and so we don't want to be a bummer, but there is a great Washington Post article that just documents all of the times he sexually harasses and emotionally abuses all of his female staff. They also stop and frisk. If you don't know what that is, you should probably look it up. He's he's like if the Crypt Keeper was a neo-Nazi, but also Scrooge McDuck. It's sort of that combination of bad people all rolled together. And importantly for the debate, not a Democrat. He is managing to try to buy. He ran as a Republican the entire time he was mayor. He decided to be Democrat he decided to be a Democrat explicitly because he didn't want Bernie Sanders to win the nomination, and said in 2016, if Sanders is the nominee, I'll run as an independent. And then again, now in 2020, is running to keep Sanders from the nominee. But that part's not funny, so let's focus on the funny part. He was in the Democratic debate because money can only get you so far. But a lot of money can get you really, really, really far. So he actually has more support in national polls now than Elizabeth Warren, which is wild. And so he was on the debate stage, and everybody just yelled at him for an hour, which was awesome. It was very fun to watch. Two things about Mike Bloomberg is that he is very wealthy, extremely wealthy. And you would think that over the course of getting all of this wealth that you would have picked up in becoming the mayor of New York City and winning the mayoralship in all 5 boroughs, like in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Queens, in Staten Island, like in all of these places, like getting to the point where you can talk to people well enough that you can, thumb through a conversation. And so he has a lot of money. And the other thing that I kind of realized as I was going to the debate, I had never heard him talk. I did not know what his voice sounded like. I barely knew what he looked like. And you could not find yourself a less charismatic dude. Like, a less likable human being on the planet.
He really he could not get a word in edgewise, and every time people would come at him with something, he would just I do not know how you have gotten that far, and someone didn't take you aside and go, hey man, you're unpleasant to talk to, you're unpleasant to be around, you're accusatory in weird ways, you think you're being funny when you're not. It's like I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you got it here. I guess money can buy you a lot of things, but man, oh man, how did you make it this far?
Well, what's wild too is that him and Pete had this too, but again, we're talking about Bloomberg, but Pete had this too, where if you haven't seen the debate, it's buck wild. Everybody is guns out for kind of the first time this cycle where as I've previously stated, I'm a psycho that follows politics, and so I've seen all the debates, and they're usually pretty tame. You'll kind of get some little jabs here at Pete or Amy or whatever. But Elizabeth Warren, if you don't know, her campaign's not doing super well. She's not getting a lot of votes. And so I think this is her. She started out in the progressive lane of like, I'm like Bernie Sanders. And then they were like, I think we just want Sanders instead. And she's like, crap. Okay. Well, now I'm the moderate. I'm the unity candidate. I'm actually in the middle, and I'm going to bring everyone together. And people were like, it's not 2008. We don't want that anymore. No. And she's like, shit. Okay. So now the third act of her campaign, and I like Liz Warren. I'm not, but what I'm saying is true. I mean, that's what her campaign has been. She's just like, all right, I'm out for blood. I got to take these people down. There's too many candidates. There's too many people on this stage, and I need some of them votes. So Liz Warren came out and was just going. Just by name, going after every person. At one point, she said Amy Klobuchar's healthcare plan, it could fit on a Post-it note, which again is not a thing you ever hear in these debates. Like, they don't like go straight at and insult people. It's a lot of fun. But what was great about the debate, everybody was being a little wild, but they had Republican billionaire Mike Bloomberg on the stage, so they would just be like, yeah, I think the billionaire class is bad and hurting this country, like you, Mike. And they would just immediately look straight at him for every point. They're like, yeah, we can't afford health care for everybody because we don't tax Bloomberg enough money. And just look right at him. And him and Pete, this is the point I was trying to make, him and Pete was the same way. Whenever they get attacked, they'd get this look on their face like, wait, I didn't think you guys were going to be mean to me. And it's like, Pete, I can kind of understand. I mean, I don't, but I can kind of understand because he's been in several of these debates and they've been pretty tame, right? They've not been like straight out insults of like, yo, you were in diapers when I was in politics. Like, none of that. Like, we haven't had that, although maybe that was in another debate. But anyway, I think Klobuchar said that to him, although don't quote me on it. I think she did say something to that effect.
Yeah.
So Pete, I can kind of understand because, like, no, he's done this before and it wasn't like this. But Bloomberg, yo, they all hate you. And it's basically the Democratic Party's position, certainly the progressive wings, that, like, you're the problem. And he's just like, yeah, I'm going to run as a Democrat and it's going to go great. And we can talk about his polling numbers if you want to get into it of like, hey, why is Michael Bloomberg so popular? We can get into it, but it was awesome. It was very fun to watch. Everyone should watch it. It's hilarious and real good.
Yeah, and I love what you said. Like, it really did feel like this one. It was like the debate to watch in that it was Knives Out. Like, it was like playtime is over. Like, and it like they've all been very like I think polite and tolerant of Pete up to this point. And just like oh, you're sweet. Right. And like you're just a cute little boy. And I think that these last two, like, I think that
because they all hate him because go ahead.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Pete is kind of like he's a fun little like side story boy. Like he
well, that's what they thought. That's why they all hate him.
This is the thing that like he was like. He is cute and optimistic and young, and he is, I don't know if Sam has said this on the podcast, he certainly said it to me 100,000 times, and I totally agree with him. It is that we have once heard him described as a boomer's ideal millennial,
right?
Where he is just like this very well-behaved guy that has like progressive views, but not too progressive.
He's a nice young man.
Yeah, he's a nice young man, and he also has a husband, which gives you points for that. So you can say like, I'm not a bigot. I voted for the presidential candidate that's going to have a first husband. Whoa, look at me. So he kind of is like fitting all the markers for the places that Joe Biden has fallen short.
Right, and we can get into how well. Okay. He's also his qualifications are he is the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, a town of 100,000 people. He also tried to run for state treasurer and got beat real bad. He also tried to be the DNC chair, which wowza. and got beat real bad. I think the most votes he's ever gotten is like 8,000, and that was when he ran for mayor. So not terribly qualified to be the president.
Yes. And he's been in politics for like, a second, and it's been in South Bend, Indiana, and, articles are coming out pretty consistently about like how he did not do a lot for the minority community, and he kind of like
he's a little confused why he doesn't have black support and no one else is confused.
So he's been doing that, and like, but in the same breath, he has been talking about like the importance of the minority community. And have
you heard about the Douglas Plan thing?
No, I
know
not.
We're making fun of Mike Bloomberg, but I would love to get back to Pete's Douglas Plan. It is very funny. But
okay,
go ahead.
All this having been said, the debate was really fun just because Mike Bloomberg is just so easy to dunk on. Every word out of his mouth was just like it. Like, I think one of the funniest things that I kept thinking consistently was I've been following this guy ever since the meme thing broke. I've been like, I need to keep an eye on this cat because he's polling really well, and he hasn't gone to a debate. He hasn't really done anything except had TV ads.
I'd love to get into it at some point.
But one of the things that kind of came out in the few weeks leading up to the debate was that he had paid for like this really, really intense team to like do debate prep with him. And that,
I didn't know
that could not have shown up less. I can only imagine that because when they were like, hey, you did stop and frisk, and like you were like super, super down for it. It like really got you going. And
you did it for years.
Yeah, and there's like tapes of you saying that you sent police officers into black and brown areas because, quote, that's where all the crime is.
Right. And you didn't apologize for it till like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, you apologized for it right before you started campaigning. It seems really, really trashy. Also, while we're on the subject, you have a really weird relationship with women.
All of them.
And you're going to talk your way out of it by saying that a lady just didn't take one of your jokes well.
Right. Like
that's
when you told
not
her to kill her baby, that real thing that he said.
Yeah, and also you're running on a Democratic platform, but you called a transgender person it, and that wasn't that long ago. Anyway,
it was around the same time that you were still a Republican.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna dunk on you all night because of this, and it didn't seem like he had even perceived that would come up.
Like here's what I imagine.
He was like looking off in the distance, like, I'm too rich to answer these questions.
I didn't know they had a debate team. Otherwise, I would have prepared more jokes about his debate team. But what I imagine his debate team is like, Michael Bloomberg, how did you get so smart and handsome? And then he hands them $100 bill. Like, Michael Bloomberg, why are you so successful? And how can we be successful like you? Michael Bloomberg, how can everyone on this stage endorse you immediately and help you win the presidency? I imagine that's what his debate is.
Michael Bloomberg, how is America like a business?
Michael Bloomberg, why are you the greatest man that's ever lived? Michael Bloomberg, what are some of your strengths and also some of your strengths?
Michael Bloomberg, I heard that you play the saxophone, and I have one right here.
Michael Bloomberg, will you marry me?
Fun fact about Michael Bloomberg, he's had the same partner for a number of years and is not married to her. That's just a little T fact. That's a little fun little T fact. So, and I guarantee you it's because of like
taxes.
He will not get married unless he has some sort of like prenuptial agreement or something. Yeah. And he's definitely the guy that kind of goes like, marriage is just a word, baby.
Right. Well, I cheat on you a lot. That's not slander. This is a podcast. It's just for comedy. I don't know if that's true.
Exactly. So anyway, all of this having been said, he was getting absolutely dunked on and dethroned, and At one point, he said that he couldn't do his taxes through TurboTax because he's a billionaire. He kept saying he was a billionaire, and
at one point he was just kind of like,
there was no one in the audience raising their hand, being like, "Hey, that's the things that we have a problem with. I feel like you're at the wrong debate."
Do you get that we don't? Do you get that the front runner said billionaires shouldn't exist? Do you know that that's the guy everyone's voting for said people said $1 billion is immoral, and we all like him and voted for him. You get that, right?
Yeah. Anyway, also, yeah. Well, so all of that's happening, and
okay, we got to talk about the cheering.
Yes,
there is every single part of his campaign. It has to be. I just refuse to believe. Other than the polling, and we can get to it. Other than the polling, I do not think there is an ounce of actual support for Michael Bloomberg. I literally think he has paid for every part of this operation. I know he's actually paid for it, but like people cheering, there was so much cheering for Michael Bloomberg, and I will not believe that he did not pay all those people to be there. I will not believe it.
Yeah, especially and I don't know if you noticed this, but I like cued into it, especially near the end, the cheering got like obnoxious. It was getting so loud and just like, so like he was saying nothing to no one. Ever. And it was just like, like, you're so handsome.
Name my baby. Name my baby. Yeah, it's insane. Basically, his whole thing was like, look, I know that nobody likes me and I'm a bad person and I have a bad life and I do bad things. But America's like a business and I'm a businessman and I also have $1 billion. Vote Mike Bloomberg. And I was like, what? Okay, I have my theories. What is literally his plan? Like,
his plan is to the things that I'm confused about is the same reason why I'm confused that the God King, our president, whose name shall not be mentioned or taken in vain.
Well, we've said it a bunch today, but that's fine.
So he
will be God Emperor forever. He will never stop.
Yeah. My confusion is why do any of this? Why? Like,
I know that he doesn't like Sanders, but like he has so much money, no amount of socialism will get rid of his money. It can't go away.
It reminds me of my dad and I always used to watch Justice League together before I would go to bed.
Television show?
And yes, Justice League, not the movie, Justice League again. Yes. Yeah. So Justice League, the television show, the animated show, the one that led into Justice League Unlimited, which I am in love with. Yeah, and in one of the plot points of it, Lex Luthor, the villain character of Superman, he becomes president, and one of the characters named The Question, this show is amazing, finds out that he is the president under false pretenses, and Lex Luthor beats him up in the Oval Office, and he says, "President, do you know how much power I'd have to give up to be the president?" And then he like throws him through a desk, and that has always stuck with me when I got you. When the God King became the president, because it's like because even Michael Bloomberg, just like how much power and influence you'd have to be, like it is just how much power and influence you'd have to give up to be the president. Like you have immediately shackled yourself.
My wife has said
that now. Like every single thing you do is going to be extremely scrutinized, and you can't just spend your money willy-nilly anymore, and you can't like fix the problems or whatever with your money. You have to do them through legislative things and having to wait for the other branches. Like instead of just doing it and being a free agent and kind of like having this like weird freedom and liberty that you get when you get into a certain tax bracket. Right. You're going to have to give all that up, and all of your influence is going to go away. And you're going to have to take a 4 to 8 year hiatus on your influence and your power. It just is bonkers to me that why you would want to do it. If you're already, it's like, I'm the influencer that influences the influencers. Why do I care about being the guy that's on TV?
Well, I don't know. Some form of insanity, but I mean, as previously stated, Michael Bloomberg has said that he would run for president simply to keep Bernie Sanders from being president. right? Like what Mike Bloomberg is trying to do is to win a couple of delegates here and there on Super Tuesday, just enough so that Bernie cannot get to 51%. Again, this is not the funny part of the show, so I don't really want to get into it, but that does seem to be the theory of this cycle is like, well, if we can all just hang in long enough and peel off enough delegates, then the super delegates will get to decide who the nominee is. And Bernie, even though he keeps on winning and he's looking like he's going to keep on winning, if he doesn't get okay, sorry, let me get in the weeds for like 1 second. 2016, we had super delegates. They all immediately declared for Clinton. So when you do see a delegate count, even if we're like 2 or 3 races in, it would be like Bernie 45, Clinton 345, and it'd be like, oh, well, Bernie can't ever win. And that was all the stories on the news was like, this guy, Bernie Sanders, he'll never win. Even though in actual delegates that they had won through voting, they were pretty close. It seemed like they were way, way ahead, which is undemocratic. And anyway, you remember Clinton won, and it was great, and she's president. So in 2018, the Democratic Party did some reforms where they said super delegates. Sorry, again, more backtracking. Delegates, that's what you get if you win elections. Super delegates are just the establishment Democrats. They're like governors and former representatives and like just like high ups in the Democratic Party. They aren't pledged to any state, so they get to vote for whatever nominee they want. So while whoever Kentucky votes for, the Kentucky delegates have to vote for at the convention, super delegates get to vote for whoever they want, which is why I say it's undemocratic, because it's not the people voting, it's just these random elites in the party who get to decide who the nominee is, which they did in 2016. So 2018, all these reforms where they say, we want to get rid of the superdelegates completely, and the compromise that was made was, okay, the superdelegates don't matter unless we have a brokered convention, meaning no one gets 51%, and then the superdelegates, of which there are 500, they get to come in and break the tie. Okay, the biggest state, delegate-wise, is California, which has 451. Now, I might be having these numbers wrong, so maybe I'm wrong. But I think there are 500 superdelegates, meaning that there are more superdelegates than there are delegates in the state of California. So it's an incredibly large power. And it seems like Bloomberg and other candidates are sticking in longer than would make sense because they want to peel off as many delegates as they can to keep Sanders from getting 51%, and then the superdelegates get to pick whatever they want. The Democratic Party is trying to subvert democracy and pick their candidate instead of who the Democratic voters want to win. That's why Bloomberg.
So thank you everybody for joining us in Sam's Conspiracy Corner.
Not a conspiracy. It's obviously what's happening. It's clearly what is happening.
Well, it is a conspiracy.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy.
Yeah. It's a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy.
Yes. So that's yes.
I'll cut all
yes.
of that. That's not funny. It's not funny, and I think we do a funny show. That's not funny, but I think that is clearly what's happening. You saw it at the end of the debate. That's why they asked, boop. Where they were like, so what do you guys think should happen if a candidate doesn't get 51%? And every one of them, except Sanders, said, I think we should let the process work itself out. Now, what they didn't say was, I think we should let the Democratic Party pick the nominee instead of the voters. No, they said, let's let the process work itself out, without really explaining what that process is. But if you were wondering, what process? The process is the Democratic establishment just gets to decide who their nominee is instead of the Democratic voters.
For that part, we can just have it edited and going like boop a doop doop doop.
Yeah, the
and
whole
then it's
music
just
you.
Yeah, it's hold music, and it's saying for qualified opinions and general and for qualified opinions, and to hear the exact same thing that Sam is talking about right now, listen to Chapo Trap House. Chapo Trap House.
Wait, do you listen to Chapo?
No, but I know that you do.
Oh, I do listen to Chapo. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because every once in a while you'll say something and then say, I'm just regurgitating Trap House, and I'll go, I don't know what that is, but I'm assuming it's talking about that.
I mean, that is true. Now, I feel like this opinion is enough my own that I wasn't going to let you know that I'm just regurgitating Chapo Trap House, but they do also talk about this on Chapo Trap House. That is true. it is also definitely 100% what is happening. So that's why Mike Bloomberg's in the race. Do you want to talk about his polling?
Yes. You know more. I know more about the Instagram thing. Sure. You know more about the polling thing.
I know about the psycho stuff where you follow all politics all the time.
And I know about the fun culture stuff where I get to giggle.
That's great. That's why we're co-hosts. So, as of course everyone knows, because they all look at the Real Clear Politics national polling numbers every day. For a long, long time, Joe Biden. This is boring. This sucks. I'm saying it now. This sucks. This sucks so bad. This is why God killed our episode. God killed the politics episode. This sucks. Joe Biden has fake numbers. Not fake like made up, but like fake like not representative numbers. So if you look at the polls, Joe Biden is at the tippy top all the time. Or was all the time. He's polling like 30-40%. Right? Huge numbers. And Sanders is second, and then there's kind of a Warren is second sometimes, and then there's this whole like heap at the bottom of everybody kind of vying for, Harris was in fourth for a while, Buttigieg, Klobuchar, all of them. Kind of just hanging out down at the bottom. And those numbers stayed high and until this was my theory, until anyone actually had to do anything to support Joe Biden. So if you're just getting called on the phone and they say, hey, who do you like? You say the name that you know, which for most people is Joe Biden. I mean, some of my good, informed friends don't know who some of the candidates are. Don't know who these people are. They're just like, I don't know who that guy is. I don't know who that person is. I don't like, right? Because like, there's a lot of candidates and it's hard to keep up. So you get called on the phone. Who do you want to vote for? This, and this. Oh, I know who Joe Biden is. That's Obama's friend. I want him. His numbers are way, way up. You see a swift decline as soon as votes come in. Because no one actually cares about Joe Biden. No one wants to vote for Joe Biden. We don't need to get into it because it's not funny. But no one wants to vote for Joe Biden because his basic campaign promise is, wouldn't it be cool if you never had to think about politics again? Which is kind of a, by definition, unenergized group of people. Like if your base is people who don't care about politics, you're probably not going to get them to go out to a primary. So when votes have to hit, nobody shows up for Joe. His numbers are garbage. And you see this swift drop in his poll numbers. Now, at the same time this is happening, you see this little creep up of Michael Bloomberg. And I think Michael Bloomberg has Joe Biden numbers. I think even though he's only at like 15%, I think 100% of that 15% is the fact that he has blanketed all of the airwaves with his name. And so now when people get the call, they're like, oh, yeah, the guy from TV. I want to vote for Mike Bloomberg. And they say his name. But none of those people, the people who only vote for someone because they heard their name on TV, because his ads aren't super compelling because he doesn't actually agree with anything Democrats like. He's just like, I'm Michael Bloomberg, and I'm a businessman, and I can get it done. No one cares about that. No one's going to go out to vote for that. So people will say on the phone, yeah, Bloomberg, he's the money guy from TV, just like Trump. He's the money guy from TV. But no one is going to show up to these polls. No one is going. That's my bet. That's my money on the table. When Nevada hits, he doesn't show up till Super Tuesday. When Super Tuesday hits, he can poll as well as he wants. No one is showing up for Michael Bloomberg. He's got Biden numbers.
And this will all be like made more plain. And because all this is like speculation as well as just like, polling phone calls, he said, she said, until like Super Tuesday rolls around. And then we'll have a more definitive picture of what's happening. But, until then, it's like these numbers are like ghost numbers.
Right. But you saw it with and because the thing is, and this is why New Hampshire, and I don't think this is a good system. I don't think it's how it should be, but it is how it is. This is why Iowa and New Hampshire are so important, because most people, normal people, don't follow politics. Normal people don't care. They don't watch the debates. They don't care about any of this. And so what they want to do is vote for a winner. They want to vote for someone they think is a winner. Maybe that's why people keep talking about Bernie Sanders' electability, despite having the highest poll numbers and getting the most votes. People keep saying he's not electable. Why? Because people don't want to vote for a loser. Which is why, after no one shows up for Biden in Iowa, his poll numbers drop. He's still the guy. He's still Obama's friend that everyone knows, but no one wants to vote for a loser. No one wants to vote for somebody that they... And that's why Iowa and New Hampshire is so important, because there are a lot of people who don't know who these candidates are. But if they get the idea that they're a winner or they're a loser, that's who they're going to vote for. So you see, as soon as Iowa hits, Biden's numbers are gone. New Hampshire, nothing. His numbers continue to drop. And in all the other polls, like in Nevada, he was at 30%. After Iowa and New Hampshire, he's down to 15%. And Sanders has like a 14-point lead. Why? Because Sanders looks like a winner and Biden looks like a loser. And for most people, that's all they really care about. And so I think Bloomberg's going to get smashed on Super Tuesday and then go away. I mean, he keeps wasting all his money, which is awesome. But
yeah, that is nice.
It's nice. I hope he does it the whole campaign. As long as he gets 0 delegates, that would be cool. I'm going to cut this whole episode probably. This is probably going in a fire.
Okay.
The last one God took, but this one I'm gonna get rid of probably.
Okay. Well, while we're here though, do you want to go to reality check?
Reality check. We need a theme song.
Yeah, that I think I really did like your theme song for Shortlist. I thought that was great. I was so into that. I listened to that like over and over and over again before I listened to Shortlist, and I just kept like going back and listening to that part.
Okay. This will be the point in the show where I'll be like in the description, like, hey, if you don't want to hear about politics, go to, and then I looked at the time, 51 minutes in. 51 minutes into the show. If you don't want to hear about politics, jump to 51 minutes in, and then you can listen to the dumb shit that our show is usually about.
Yeah. So with this one, you could do like a similar, like reality check could be like a similar thing where it, like, you know how in The Bachelor, it always goes, Chris Harrison always goes, coming up
like, on reality check.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then it goes like, it goes like, says something like that. And then that'd be so great.
Hey, also for the listeners, I know we don't talk much, you and I, but I would like to hear what you think about Shortlist and whether or not we should make more stuff like that. I mean, it's kind of similar. It's not as... Do you want stuff that's more produced? Not that show's more produced, but it's on topic. It's leaning towards produced. But do you want stuff that's more produced and kind of about a specific thing? Or do you like this freeform stuff? Let me know. I'll probably do what I want to do anyway. But just interested how you all feel and how you're liking the program. None of you were listening because that was 52 minutes of politics. And unless you also listen to Chapo Trap House, you don't want to hear lefty garbage for 51 minutes. But if you're here, let me know how you feel about Shortlist and reality check.
Yeah.
And I'll make a theme song. And probably not for this one because it would be confusing. But
coming up. That theme song is coming up.
Well, it would be weird because then it would be us talking about the theme song for 5 minutes. You would hear the theme song and just talk about the theme song. So that's why it probably won't be in this episode, but maybe next episode we'll put the reality check theme song in there. Anyway, catch me up. Have you watched The Circle?
No, I haven't.
Come on.
I know. So here's the thing. I really feel, because the more I talk about The Circle, the more I realize that I'm like not alone in this endeavor. And a lot of people are watching it, but the people that are watching it are married couples, and I am not a married couple.
You're in a couple, so that's like
I am a couple, but when you are a couple and you don't live together and you have like different schedules,
that makes sense.
It's very hard to get together to just watch The Circle.
That's fair.
Which is all I want to do. And unfortunately, we've like, it's like one of those things. What's that? What the theory of lost gains or whatever? It's like
sunk cost fallacy.
Yes. So sunk cost fallacy. I really feel like I'm in a sunk cost fallacy with The Bachelor right now. Where I could not see, I could drop the whole thing and not watch one more second of it, and I would be so much richer in my life.
Yeah.
Can't do it. I've spent so much time with these 4 dum-dums that I have to keep watching to see what on God's green earth happens.
What is he laying on that bed about? I gotta know.
Yeah, exactly. And what is his mom crying about?
What is she crying about? Also, look, I'm sure she's a real nice lady. She sounds like she is from the movie Interstellar. Like she's like, bring her back to us. It's like, did she get taken away by Sauron? Like, what happened? This is the level of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? What happened? I don't know. I gotta know what that is. I gotta know what they tell him in the desert. I gotta know why he's laying on that bed. I gotta know.
Gotta know.
I missed this most
like
recent
that
episode, but I got the cliff notes.
So you know what happens.
Yeah, I'm spoiler deep in this whole season. I am not here for the journey. I just want the payoffs. So yeah.
I think that is going to be me. I think that is going to be the remainder of my Bachelor career. So I just want the spark notes.
Yeah.
Lord have like, if I have to sit and watch another one of these people have a conversation with each other, I'm going to lose my marbles.
Yeah, it's definitely a be on your phone the whole show kind of show.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because one of her roommates went to Taiwan for 2 weeks, and she came back and she was like, whoa, like what I miss on The Bachelor, as like she was like unpacking her stuff, and we explained it to her in 4 minutes flat, and then she was just like, cool, and that was it. There was and I was like, oh man, what a beautiful life you live. Just like you didn't have to get through all the other stuff. You could just be like, okay, I got it, I'm figuring it out. Like, I'm assuming when they're talking about this, they're referencing the thing you guys told me in the Spark Notes. So yeah, I got it. And I was so excited to just live in her shoes for a moment when I didn't have to be a part of all the pettiness.
It's weird how compelling it is, because I explained to frequent guest Robert the whole Victoria F character arc, and he was she's
the best.
He was I mean, it was just like, and I watched it in real time and thought it was amazing, and I was just explaining to him like, no, you don't understand. She introduces herself and she tells this dumb joke, and he doesn't get it or hear her, and he gives her a weird awkward hug, and then she goes inside, and then she's like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to him. Hey, I'm the girl with the joke, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, and then she says the joke again, and it goes over poorly again, and then another girl sweeps in, so 2 times in a row all she said was this same dumb joke, and it's hilarious. And he's just like eating it up. He's like, tell me about the girl dressed like a windmill, tell me about the girl who's in the luggage. I'm like, let's get through night 1. It's insane how it's a good season of the show. Red hair, red car.
Red hair, red car. So I do, for those of you that are keeping up with Reality Check, I do want to mention that Victoria F, although I truly do hate her, and most of the things that she is doing, she had like something that so in this most recent episode, for those of you that are not caught up in Reality Check and just generally do not care about this whole thing,
this is a very polarizing episode.
Skip to whatever time code.
Skip to the next show in your podcast feed.
So she is on the show, and Peter runs into an ex-girlfriend of his, and this ex-girlfriend is like, you shouldn't trust Victoria F. She like ruins people's lives, and Peter is kind of like, whoa, that's crazy. And it's during the hometowns where he's supposed to go meet her family. And he has his trademark.
Dumb.
Yeah, he has his trademark line, what?
Wait.
And what? And so he then goes to Victoria to confront her. And he basically just kind of like says, hey, I talked to one of your friends, or I talked to someone from my past and someone from your past, and they brought these accusations about her, and it kind of troubled me. Like, what do you have to respond to that? And Victoria F's response is a master class in how to gaslight someone. And for those of you that don't know what gaslighting means, that means to make the other person think that they are in the wrong, and make the person who brought this to your attention apologize to you.
Make them think they're crazy. It's making somebody think that they are crazy.
Making them think that they're crazy. And it is something that I think in psychology classes could genuinely be studied, because she hit, like, I saw a bunch of like tweets about it. Like, she deflects and then immediately projects the energy onto him and then starts accusing him of being the reason why she is upset, and then starts to kind of like get progressively more and more visibly upset. And then as that's happening, in order to correct the situation, he has to bring himself down to the point that she was at, the humble state, while she is like lording over him, and then like kind of forces an apology out of him.
Right.
In a way that nothing is addressed. She did not even say anything that happened about the person that accused her. She immediately went into this honestly, like, she wasn't, I don't think she was intentionally, or like she wasn't like actively doing it. I think it's just a part of her character that she is like such a narcissist that she is like putting this on him. But it was something that is like a masterclass in toxic behavior, and it happened like all in real time, all in front of us. And he then at the end of that episode still gave her a rose, which means she goes on to the next week.
Buck wild. Can you imagine being the other girl? And it
was insane. Like it was one of those things where as it was happening, I was like kind of watching it, and I was saying to my friends and Carrie, I was like, he's going to apologize.
Yeah.
He is going to say, I'm sorry that I made you feel that way.
Yeah.
And she like did like absolutely nothing. It was like,
which has been every interaction they have.
Yeah, it was one of the best spins I've ever seen. Like, it was a total 180, like, spun the blame from her to him, and it all happened in the time span of like 3 minutes.
Well, there was a thing the episode before where like he sits down and is like, "Hey, I heard there's a lot of drama with you." I don't remember what she did, but it was some shit where she, I don't know, he's like, "I heard there was a lot of drama with this," and she immediately goes, "So with our limited time, this is what you're going to talk to me about?" and starts crying, and he's like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Yeah, we and it was just like, whoa, man, that was so fast. And still, and it's like, what's wild is for the girl that got eliminated, it's like, this was hometown. How bad was your hometown? That Victoria F is like, yeah, I'll probably keep her instead of this other girl.
So, and I think this also kind of brings into a lot of something that I think Peter could also be kind of like a good example of, and that example is of a stunted emotional and relational growth, where you equate drama and also like fighting for passion, where it's almost like, so there was one point in like kind of the narcissist playbook where you withhold communication. And she does a lot of like withholding communication. And I think that to someone who is not very emotionally or relationally intelligent, that can come off as like, I'm fighting for this relationship, right, and I'm going to prove to you that I'm willing to fight for this if you're also willing to fight for it. And it like, he's the kind of guy that wants there to be constant spark, wants there to be
a child.
Always something on the fire.
Right.
And I think that she brings that out of him, and she in a way she brings that to him in a way that he thinks that like, oh, we're fighting for this, that must mean that we are in love, or that must mean that we are both in this. And you can see that in one of the only other relationships that had any gravity to it was the one with Kelly, who is the lawyer. She says something to him, and I think it is very telling. She says, you know, a relationship, it can be fun. It doesn't have to be drama all the time.
Yeah.
And so she says that just like, hey, like just kind of like a sentence that we all would agree to say. It's like, hey, a relationship can and should be fun. It shouldn't be like us yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And his response is, I'm not here to have fun. I'm here to find the person I'm going to spend my life with. And then she kind of gives him this look of like, what? Like,
wait a minute. Zach, I think you might be remembering that wrong, because
how do you mean?
that interaction, because I wanted to say, hey, you should go back and watch it, because Peter is reading off of a card.
Are you serious?
There is a 100% chance, because what he says is a complete non sequitur. She says something about, and maybe that is what she says, but there is a moment in that you're talking about where they're sitting on a bench and they're out like in a field. It's like, okay, there's a moment where Kelly says something to him to the effect of like, yeah, I think it's that line, but she's like, yeah, you know, we can just have fun. And he's like, and he looks at her for a second, and it cuts to a shot, and he's looking down at his hands, and he says, thank you for opening up to me about that. And then just says like a completely different thing, but it's the exact same line that he uses for every girl, because they all start and they yell at him or they cry about something, and then he's just like, thank you for telling me your truth. But what she says is not of that gravity at all. She's just like, yeah, sometimes you can just have fun. It's just fun to hang out. And he looks at her with this serious face, like that dumb guy face he always makes, where he's like, make a human emotion. And he's like, thank you for telling me about. Now, maybe I'm remembering a different line. So maybe that is what he says in that moment. But go back and watch that scene where there's a 100% chance that Peter is reading off of. He has a list of questions on a card that he is reading off of in that scene. And it's
oh my gosh,
unreal. But I agree with everything you're saying, and maybe that is how it goes. But there's a moment in there because I wanted to bring it up. There's a moment in there where he reads off a card.
Yeah. So I mean that probably is just like I cues into, you know, how emotionally stunted he is, just through, and like even you can hear it when he says like talking. It's to Kelly when he's talking about trusting the process, trusting the Bachelor process. Right, and he's like, and I know this works, so you got to trust the process. And it's like what like and he's talking like he's a sorority recruiter. Like it's just like you got right. Like it's gonna get rough and tumbling, but you got to trust the process.
Right.
And I think in doing that, he has tricked himself into withstanding a lot of emotional abuse, and withstanding a lot of just like, yeah, like he thinks part of the process is fighting through it when that is not a part of the process out in the real emotional world.
Right.
So, and I think so, although like, you know, everything can be used. I really feel like he is like such a good example of just kind of stunted emotional growth. So although, you know, the Bachelor is kind of like trash TV, I bet to some people that are trying to have an example for toxic behavior, I bet that it's a pretty good example of how to
here's bad relationships.
Yeah, how to locate. It's like, hey, so like watching it, then like pausing the TV and going like, so what happened here? Like,
well, also because he is constantly like, I don't know if it's exactly gaslighting, but he is like fucking with these girls. Like, like the one scene where that girl, where he spins that girl so hard in that weird gyroscope thing that he makes her throw, and she's like, oh, I get sick really easily, and so he spins her really hard till she throws up, and he's like, oh my gosh, because he says this a couple of times in the show. He's like, oh my gosh, that was so great. You really, man, you're a real trooper. And then there's an episode like 2 episodes ago where Hannah Ann is like having a normal conversation with him. And he's just like, I'm just not feeling those emotions. I'm just not feeling that spark. And he's just like, kind of like, you're going to get kicked off the show now. And then she cries and is just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm trying. I really like you a lot. And she like runs off crying, and he's like, that's what I wanted to see. And he said that a couple of times where like a girl will cry and he's like, that's what I was looking for, and keeps her. And like she was going to get kicked off if he didn't make her cry. And like to him, in this weird way, like making girls upset and cry is like, that's how you show it's like, that you care.
Yeah, it's like that is emotion. That is love. That is love. This very stunted 1950s, 1960s movie style of love.
Right.
And it's like
crying and begging is love. It's and it's
weird. Like or like this idea that like it really is this this unhealthy dependency upon each other,
right?
Where it's like, you have to prove to me that if I was gone, your world would collapse,
right?
And like that is what love is. It is like we must be soulmates because the very idea that we would be apart should crush you,
right?
And
I need to see that.
Yeah, and if I do not see that, boy, oh boy, is that like it is like, I don't know if you've seen the movie The Thing, but they do this part where they test the blood with heat. And that's like what he like in order to find out which one is the alien, and that's like him.
No, you're
it's
thinking
like
of Body Snatchers.
I'm thinking of The Thing.
Wait, what's? Oh, I'm thinking of The Fly.
Yes.
No, never mind. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Sure, whatever. Anyway.
Sure, whatever.
It's like it's him testing each person with this like, you know, very, very hot metal.
Right.
And if they bleed, well, that just means they have blood, and that means they care about this. And it's
that's what makes Kelly. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, it's like it like, and like that is his way of like weeding out the ones that like are like you can definitely tell, especially in the earlier episodes. Like he began to very quickly weed out the ones that you could see. It's like, oh, you're a fully formed person. Like you're not contributing to this drama. You're not contributing to the rhetoric that the rest of the show is being brought on. One of the ones that I continuously bring up is she was on the first like 3 episodes. So it was this girl named Alexa who was just like, yes, I think.
That doesn't matter.
But she was just super cool. Like everything about her was cool. She was calm and collected. Like anytime something happened, she was like calm and collected. And they gave her like absolutely no screen time. And I imagine it was because the producers are like, so what do you think of this? And it's like, oh, that's not my business. That's what I think of that. Right. And they were like, oh, well, we can't put that on TV. And like she, who is like a fully formed person that is not going to give in to like the ideas of love that Peter has subscribed to. It's like he's weeding out those ones, and the more they like, and that's like he has created for himself over the past like several episodes, the ones that are emotional and unstable, because he is also unstable, and it's like if we're unstable together, then we balance each other out. But it's like, no, that's not how that works.
Which is what makes Kelly such a weird character, because Kelly is like a real person that met him in real life. She obviously is like not worried about it. And she does try to have like what you would think of as normal conversation. I think we talked about this like a couple episodes ago where it was like, it's so weird when Victoria F like cries about her seeing her ex-boyfriend. Cause it's like, hey, this isn't a big deal. Like if that was your real life, it'd be like, oh my God, like a normal person would think it's very funny and be like, oh my God, you won't believe it. That guy, I used to date that guy. And then you guys would have like a laugh and a human normal conversation. I think I've heard rumors they don't eat dinner. Like the whole thing is what we see is the entire dinner. They literally sit down at a table that has food at it and talk for 5 minutes and then they leave. So they don't actually eat dinner. That's the whole conversation. But a normal person would just approach it like a normal person, which makes what Kelly so weird, where she's just not weird. I mean, she's normal, but it's like, it's so weird with her there. 'Cause she's like, yeah, we could just like be friends and play Frisbee. And he's just like, I hear what you're saying, and that's very important to me that you shared that. And it's like, wait, what? Like, you guys are on 2 different shows. Like, she's just like, yeah, I'm just here, and like maybe we'll kiss, and he seems cool. And it's just a completely different level because she is a normal person. But I think because she knew him in real life, they're keeping her around as like one. They made her a character. She took McKenna's spot as a character. McKenna wanted to be a character. Unfortunately, she could not be one. And Kelly took her spot as like, oh, I'm just like a normal girl. I'm just like a regular person. It's buck wild.
Yeah. So all this has been Reality Check and also mental health awareness check.
Sure. I'm not making a theme song for mental health awareness check.
Okay. I think this is going to be the only one, unless, of course, things continue to get more brazy. But I feel like that's even that might be everything I have to say about The Bachelor.
Yeah, it's not really
and then everything else after this is going to be an update. I really feel like I got out
Sure.
I've had all these thoughts like swimming, and then that was all of them out loud all at once.
And I think my whole thing is it's real funny. I just think it's real. I agree with everything you said, but my main feeling of Bachelor is, yo, he's so dumb and this is so funny. So So I think I agree with you. I think all of that is true. But it'll just be updates because there's only like 2 episodes left, so there's not a lot more.
Yeah.
Also, this segment might never come back. It might just be a Bachelor-based segment, and then maybe if we watch next season.
And then if I ever finish The Circle.
Right. It's not going to be a weekly thing if you don't like it. I mean, we're going to do it if you like it or not, but it's but if you don't like it, I'm just letting you know. It probably won't be
that is the tagline of the show.
I was explaining this show to one of my friends, and we're at an hour, so we should probably go. But I was explaining, to frequent guest on the show, Robert.
Frequent guest on the show, Robert.
I was explaining to Robert the show the other day, and I said, yeah, nominally it's a show about like self-improvement. But I mean specifically mine and Zach's self-improvement. What I mean is me and Zach are trying through the project of Get Better to improve ourselves as human beings. It's not about like how to improve as a person. Like the show is for us and we just also put it out to people. But the show would be exactly the same if we never released it. Which is why it's okay that we throw away like 50% of our episodes.
Yeah. Exactly, because it's more, it is about growing up. It's a time capsule. It is both a show about growing up. It is both a show about getting better and a time capsule.
Right, because here's the thing. It's like, okay, imagine recording the show is like going to the gym. And releasing the show is like posting an Instagram photo of you going to the gym. The important thing is going to the gym. I guess you could post a photo of it and that's fine. But like, we're going to just keep recording the show either way. And like, that is the work.
Getting our reps in.
We're getting our reps in. This episode's bad. This is a bad one. Hey, bad.
Audience. It's going over.
Go ahead and skip this. Episode 27. Go ahead and skip this one. It's not good.
Go ahead and skip this one. We're putting this at the end though, so that you have to get to this point before you know definitively you can skip it.
I'll just throw this clip at the very beginning. This is the show opener. This is how the show opens. Hey guys, go ahead and skip this one. We talk for 52 minutes about politics and it sucks. And then we talk about Bachelor and it's good, but then we talk about ourselves and it sucks. So basically just skip to 52 minutes, and then when we get done with Reality Check, turn it off and throw your phone into the sun. Skip this episode. It isn't good. All right.
See
you bye forever.
See you bye forever.